You know, there's this patch of ocean on our planet where the rules of physics just seem to, well, break down. It's a place where ships and planes go in, but they don't always come back out. Today, we're taking a deep dive right into the heart of the Bermuda Triangle mystery.
So, just picture this for a second. You've got a huge, modern jet, hundreds of people on board, just cruising along at 30,000 feet. One minute, it's a solid, steady blip on the radar screen. The next, poof, it's gone. Not crashed, not hijacked, just vanished.
And I'm not talking about a crash where search parties eventually find bits of wreckage floating on the water.
We're not talking about a last desperate mayday call, cutting through the radio static to give a final location.
Nope, we're talking about a complete and total erasure. It's this chilling, empty space where something, and a whole lot of someone's, used to be. And for some, this isn't just a spooky campfire story, it's a terrifying reality.
The thing is, this kind of thing doesn't just happen randomly all over the world. It seems to be concentrated in one of the most infamous stretches of water on the entire globe, a place that's definitely earned its nickname, the Zone of Disappearance. Most people know it as the Bermuda Triangle. It's this huge, kind of loosely defined area of the Atlantic that connects Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. And for decades, man, it has been a total breeding ground for myths, legends, and some of the most genuinely baffling mysteries of our time.
And look, we're not just talking about one or two unlucky sailors here. We're talking about a really disturbing pattern. Huge cargo ships, fancy yachts, even high-tech military planes, they've all been swallowed up by the triangle. But the weirdest part? The quiet. They just disappear, without a trace, without a mayday, leaving us all asking the same spooky question, why?
To really get a handle on how powerful this legend is, we gotta go back. Back to the one case that really kicked this whole thing off, the chilling and very real mystery of Flight 19.
Okay, so the date is December 5th, 1945. 5 U.S. Navy Avenger bombers, they were called Flight 19, take off from Florida. It's supposed to be just a routine training mission, but what should have been a simple 2-hour flight spiraled into a total nightmare. The flight leader's voice comes crackling over the radio, saying his compasses are just spinning like crazy. He has no idea where he is. A final, garbled message is heard, and then just silence. 5 military airplanes and 14 men, completely erased from the sky.
One of their last known transmissions really captures the rising panic. The pilot says, "We don't know where we are, everything looks wrong." Can you just imagine the terror in those words, coming from a skilled pilot? And then, absolutely nothing but the hiss of static.
But here's the kicker. The terrifying story of Flight 19 wasn't some freak, one-off tragedy. It was really just the most famous chapter in a long and seriously disturbing history of vanishing acts in that whole region. Over the years, dozens, literally dozens of other ships and planes have met the exact same inexplicable end right inside the Triangle's borders. The exact number? Well, people argue about it, but the sheer volume of these incidents creates this really unnerving pattern. And you know what's truly spine-chilling? How sudden it all is. Whatever's at work in the Triangle, it hits so fast, so completely, that there's not even time to get a distress signal out. One second, a ship is sailing along on a calm sea. The next, it's like it was never even there. So what is really going on out there? That question has kicked off this huge debate, basically pitting the cold, hard facts of science against theories that, well, they stretch the limits of what you can even imagine.
So on one side, you have your scientific explanations. Skeptics will point out that the weather there is notoriously crazy. You get rogue waves and sudden storms that could swallow a ship whole no problem. They also talk about weird magnetic anomalies that can make navigation systems go completely haywire, or even these massive eruptions of methane gas from the ocean floor that create a frothy vortex with no buoyancy. But for every one of those rational explanations, there's a much wilder one. Some people are convinced the triangle is a portal to another dimension, a tear in space-time. Others whisper about ancient alien tech submerged under the water, or maybe a lost city like Atlantis that's still giving off powerful energy.
But, after all the theories and all the investigations and all the speculation, one stubborn truth just won't go away. The mystery is still very much alive.
I mean, think about it. We live in an age where satellites can read a license plate from space and deep-sea subs can map the ocean floor. You'd think we would have cracked this case by now, right? But we haven't. The wrecks of Flight 19 and so many other vessels are still lost somewhere in the deep. The real, definitive answers we're all looking for, they're still just out of our reach.
Which really just leaves us with one final unsettling question. Is the Bermuda Triangle just a place on a map where, statistically, a lot of accidents have happened and been hyped up by stories? Or is it something more? A genuine anomaly, a place on our own planet that plays by a completely different set of rules? You know, maybe the real mystery isn't what's happening out there in the Triangle, but why we're so fascinated by the idea that some things, even in our high-tech world, can still be completely and utterly unexplained.